Let me tell you about these passion flowers or Maypops. This right here is a passion flower or a Maypop. Doesn't have a flower on it yet, and it may not even get a flower on it this year because I keep cutting it back. But last year here in this area, they were all over the place. They kept on vining over my blueberries, which is one reason why I don't want them here this year, because it's kind of work to keep them from interfering with the blueberries growth. So I don't really want these over here, but I do want them on the farm. They'll grow in zones 5 through 9, and we're in about zone 7A over here in Western Kentucky. You're supposed to be able to eat the fruit off of them. All the ones that I've ever had over here in this area, they get all wrinkly on the outside, and that's how you know when they're ready. But I don't really like the taste of them very much. You can also make jam out of them, and I've never done that either. But these things are prolific. I've mowed over these in this area a few different times, and they keep coming back. Here's one, and here's one over here. Here's another one. There's a few on the other side of the camera, and then back out of the frame as well. They're just so prolific. They just keep on coming back over and over and over again. But that's not good in this place because they're vining over these blueberries, and the blueberries are kind of young, so I kind of want to protect them. So I want to move these somewhere else. I've done this a couple times in preparation for this video, so I can show you some that I've transplanted. It really helps if you have some leverage, so I should have got the big shovel over here, but I didn't. Now, underneath this, they kind of spread from the roots, so you'll hit a root under here.
What are you doing?
Can you see it coming up here? All that root there is part of the Maypop, and they're going to pop up all over the place over here. So I'm going to pull up another one. I transplanted 2 of these already, and I'll show you in a second. I'm going to go ahead and get this in the ground. It helps to get them in the ground as soon as possible when you transplant things. But one of them I transplanted like this with the whole root under there, and another one I didn't keep the root. I only transplanted just the vine right here. These normally do well in full sun, but it's really hot outside, and it's supposed to be hot and sunny the next few days as well, so I don't want to put them in the direct sun right over here. Instead, I'm going to put them over here in the shade next to the chicken pen. There's some grass and stuff growing over here, so I'm going to pull that up out of the way. And then I'm just going to make a little space for this. It's really fertile ground over here. So I'm just going to, with this one, spread out the whole root, and cover it up. When you transplant them, it really helps if you can keep them moist, but I've got enough things to do that I don't have time to water, so there's enough of these that if the ones that I transplant make, fine. If they don't, then that's fine as well. So I'm just going to get it covered up here to the neck in this soil and this mulch, and just hope for the best. And that's what I've done with all these. I'm going to show you here in a second some that I've already transplanted and that have made it. Some of the ones haven't done very well, but I've not watered any of these in. I've just left them alone. The water won't go as far. I don't have hoses enough to get it as far as where I transplanted them. Some of them made it just simply like that. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Just going to make a hole here. So over here next to the chicken pen, there's a lot of shade and stuff, and then there's a lot of rich organic compost and chicken manure and rabbit manure over here that when it does rain and does get wet, then some of that is going to seep over here and feed it pretty well. And if this makes it, what I'm hoping it does is climb up this fence up here and gives them a little bit more shade whenever they need it, and protection from the wind and stuff like that in the winter time. Let me show you where I planted these others in the past and see how they're doing. So this is on the very edge of my property line hedgerow food forest, and this is the first one of these that I transplanted. Here's one that I transplanted that the top died, but it looks like it's okay down here at the bottom, and this one over here is done okay. These were just the sticks without the roots down there underneath it, without that rhizome that was going far, and these have done fine. I didn't put any water. I haven't watered these. I haven't done it. But I transplanted these on a day whenever it was cool and wet, and it was cool and wet the next few days after that as well. And we've had lots of rain here in the Western Kentucky this summer as well. We're supposed to have some more rain this next week. It's right next to my bamboo. This is my bamboo. So I don't know if this is going to keep on spreading here like it did over there. The soil isn't quite as rich over here as it is over there. I put a lot of mulch over there. And then this bamboo will probably start spreading over here this way as soon as well. But this is the first one I did, and it was just the stick without the roots. And this is the second bunch that I did. Now there's one that looks pretty good right here. But these others over here, they don't look so hot. The ground here, it's just dry dirt, clay. It don't really have a whole lot of good organic material in there. Yeah, I was hoping here that it would get a lot of that south-facing sun. This is north behind me, and the camera, and behind you in the camera, that's south-facing. So maybe it'll spread over here, so I'll still have this passion flower nearby. They do have some sweet smelling and beautiful flowers that vine around, and maybe it can climb up some of these Jerusalem artichokes and some of this these blackberries and stuff like this. And it doesn't hurt to mow over it in the fall. I've mowed over this other, like I said, at where we started. I mowed over that several times, even this year, and it just keeps on coming back. It's kind of like a plague. You know, we like those kind of things because they grow, they create organic material, but I didn't want them near my blueberries because they might choke them out a little bit. So that's the passion flower. Turn the camera around so you can see over here these gummy berries, and I planted a row of Jerusalem artichokes just north of that, so it's going to create that hedge there between us. And then there's this road that we're making right here that goes all the way over to this mulch pile where the tree trimmers brought all that mulch a couple of years ago, and we're hoping for in the next year or two when they do it again, they'll bring a lot more of it. But we really appreciate you. We want to show you what we're doing here. You know, we took a couple of days off this last week, so I really appreciate those of you who stick with us through those little breaks. But I needed a couple of days off, and we had some weather, and we had some other things that went on that we did that I could tell you about in the future. We've got some things coming up that I want to tell you about, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. But that's going to come up really soon. We've got a lot of big things going on. We've done a whole lot of things, and again, we really appreciate you and invite you to come back every chance you get. Thanks.